Have you heard of dating app burnout? Swiping endlessly, making snap decisions on first impressions, repetitive conversations about likes and dislikes, ghosting, and then discovering that your date looks nothing like their photos when you finally meet them. And rinse and repeat. The physical versus emotional intimacy. I'm curious, what do you guys think is more important, physical or emotional?
I think we're talking about like stages of it because obviously there has to be a physical connection at the beginning. You're not going to see someone who you don't find attractive and be like, you know what, I should really get to know them. Now, yes, there's exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, there needs to be that physical connection early on that'll initiate some sort of connection, and then you're able to peel back the layers, learn more about the person intellectually, emotionally.
Oh,
It's
okay.
different for women because women will literally look at someone and be like, he's not really my type, but get to know him and then eventually think
Is
he's
that the majority of women?
I would agree.
Yeah.
You think so? Okay,
Yeah,
but
we're
see,
not-
for me, I disagree. I think it's more important to have an emotional connection first than to have a physical connection.
I think we just live in a world where, typically physical connection is what determines who we're going to be even talking to. And then emotional connection is kind of what secures the long-term relationship.
Is that dating apps' fault?
I think we're hardwired that way to like we're always making observations, right? So if you see someone and you're very attracted to them, you might be more likely to go approach them, right? And dating apps obviously exemplify that to the nth degree because it's all just
Photos.
Now, okay, I asked you guys before we did this show, and I can call you all out here. You have all been doing or taken part in dating apps, okay? Now, the idea behind dating apps, I want to challenge you guys with this, play a little bit devil's advocate here. Is it to generate subscriptions so they can make more money, or is it to actually focus on helping people build more relationships?
they're publicly traded companies like Tinder, for example.
They're business. A business is a business.
They need to run a business.
So does that completely discredit dating apps?
Not completely, but to some extent.
Really?
I think some people are terrified of approaching. I know I have friends that are terrified of approaching girls out in the world, even at the most like safe place. Like they've talked to this person in passing before. They have no guts to ask them to go on a date or something, and so they rely heavy on these types of apps. And I guess for those types of people, like I guess it's good. It'd be a lot better if they just ask the person for their phone number or something. But
yeah, it is interesting. I want to see what Sherry has to say about this and see if you guys agree with her or not. Let's jump into it. Do you feel that we are placing too much expectation on chemistry?
The problem with the apps is that sometimes can happen. Put way too much emphasis on the physical and then even looking at somebody's pictures. Am I attracted to that person? Knowing that attraction is much deeper than that. And how many times have people felt like, oh, this relationship is going so well. We've been talking for months online and then they meet each other and it's zero.
So do you believe that physical or emotional intimacy, which one's more important? What do you believe?
They are equally important. They are both so important to have a satisfying relationship. If you just want to have a physical relationship at this point in time, the physical is obviously more important. But for a satisfying relationship, you want to be able to open up to that person. So they dance together very much, and the physical can lead to the emotional, and the emotional, the more emotionally connected we get to somebody, the better the physical part becomes.
Culture's become more openly sexualized in recent years. Now, where does this come from, and what impact does it have on our relationships? What do you guys think? Bianca, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we need to guard ourselves and our eyes from an over-sexualization of everything because it's definitely, if we look around, it's not leading us anywhere good.
So on the idea of having too many options, I am curious because I feel like having too many options just aids the idea of our unwillingness to dedicate time and energy into building a stronger connection with somebody. Would you guys agree? Or
I would disagree in a way. I feel like sometimes having a lot of options gives you an idea of what you want out of a relationship so that once you do get into a relationship, and saying that we have a lot of options doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to, have a physical act of consummation with this person, right? It just means that you could communicate with them and get to learn them a little bit more, which then can feed into what you actually want out of a relationship once you do pick the person that you want to be with.
I think if you have any type of like moral or values or anything like this, like your options are by virtue of the fact that you have standards, they're much smaller. Like if we say like women, yes, we have lots of options, but if I like A, B, and C, and these are the kind of qualities I need to have in someone, my options are limited to a very small pool of people.
Okay, real quick, Chris, do you think that dating apps have, I guess you could say, potentially hindered us from finding good value in certain relationships? Like we just look at the physical now?
I think to talk about the like kind of to touch on that, yeah, definitely. If you're on an app, you're screening everything through a very physical lens, right? You're not going out into places like where you would have met them through a family friend or a community and actually having conversations with these people. So it's very surface level. So yeah, it's making us more shallow.
I'ma rule the world, yeah.